Okay, folks, I'm going to try a video here on Zoom because my last one wasn't working, and I am going to share my screen. What I did is I created a fictitious company. They've got about 140 SKUs. There is a rework area. I'll go over that and how I input this into my Excel spreadsheet, and I'll kind of explain it as we go along. So the first item is the actual spreadsheet here. So I'm going to need, your customer information, the item or SKUs in this exact order. Okay, this is my data entry screen. And as we move over, I'm going to ask you some questions about areas, okay, within the distribution center, the warehouse. Do you have rework or whatever? I'm going to ask you some questions. And then we're going to also want to get the customer information, what their name is, the item, the sales price, and quantity. If you have a rework area, fabrication area, whatever you want to call it, where you take items and out comes a different item, I need to know that. Okay. We're going to need to know the finished good item, whatever that new item number is, SKU number, the sales price, the parts that make up that finished good item, and the quantity. Okay. Once I get that information, I'll be able to enter it here in this screen. And for example, I'm able to figure out the operations cost of this first item is 55 cents. Okay. And that's including the days of supply. But total, it's not $2.95. You got to add it together. Now it's $3.50. And the total cost of the company is $73,000. Okay. Everyone with me so far? And I will sort this, when it's all said and done. Then the days of supply, I can help you out with that. It's very important you get the days of supply per item. You can't tell me, well, you can, oh, we average 40 days of supply. Well, that's going to throw this way out of whack because you could have items turning every 10 days and other items sitting for 100 days. And that's where this really helps. And I can help you out with days of supply. Okay, so the main distribution center, most people default to this. They don't have separate areas, but I'll get into that. We want to capture what is it costing your company per day per cubic foot. In this exercise, it's $7.2 million. That's the operating budget, and there's 500,000 square feet of cubic footprint where they're storing the inventory. It comes out to 3.95 cents, 4 cents a day per cubic foot. Okay. Then we're going to look at the zones like that. This is the main distribution center. I need to know, do you have a rework area in our fictitious company here? We do. It costs 20,000 or it's 20,000 cubic feet. It's adding 2 cents per cubic foot per day. Okay. And then I'll ask you other areas. And this is where I want you to put your thinking cap on. Do you have other areas where you're doing a value add? Is there an area where you're putting in security? Or cold storage, refrigeration, whatever it may be, or you cross dock. You have an item, backs up to the warehouse. It only goes to this area of shipping or receiving and then turns around. It doesn't touch the other areas of warehouse. Think about those things, okay? Once we get that going, then now this is going to be a manual operation for me, but I don't know any other way to do it. All items default. Okay, all SKU items default to the main distribution center. They're all going to be there. It's the other areas do these items touch on. Okay, so in this exercise, I've got this item, and down below there's another item that do go to the rework area, and that adds to the total cost. Okay, so let's say, for instance, this first item was in the rework area. You would tell me, watch the total cost here. It goes from $11,613 and change to, woo, 362,000. Okay. Obviously, there's probably a lot of that item, and it could be a big bulky item as well. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I got to check the SKU zones out as well. Okay. And then I'm going to be able to figure out what is your profit and loss for all these items. Okay. Again, I'm going to organize this for you, but in this case, we've got this item 55807. It's costing the company $3,200. Okay. They thought they were making a profit, but they're not. it's a loss of 26%. And then look at these items. Okay. So that's your P&L per items. And I'll break it up by each and total. Okay. Because you could have an item you're losing money on, but you only have two or three items. It's not a big deal. You could have another item you're losing the same amount of money, but you've got a lot of that inventory. Okay. So that's again a tool to use to bring down your inventory level if your days of supply are out of whack for that item. And then again, the customer, okay, we sold all these items. Here's the sales price, here's the quantity. And I break it down that, you know, you thought you were making $404 off of John Doe. Well, you're actually making 187. Still making a profit, but again, it was a lot less. Okay. Last but not least is the raw materials to the finished goods. That's where I enter this information, and I'm able to see that this finished good item, okay, it was actually a $26.43 profit. Okay, not $35 minus, that bit. Anyway, so let me go back. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Hang in there a second. So now I want to show you, I'll take that information and I'll put it into a PDF format. And let me see if I can find it for you. There we go. So I'll give you a cover page that, okay, it's prepared for your company, who you are. Maybe there's a couple people, your title, what have you. And I'll say there's a certain number of pages. I'll give you a summary page of my findings. And if there's stuff that's sticking out like a sore thumb, like those items that were losing 70 some thousand dollars or whatever, I'll put that as a highlight. Okay. And we could talk about this as well. I'm not just going to dump it off on you and say, hey, thanks. Okay. So in this example, we've got standard and the top 25 items that are standard versus operating costs. So in this example, this SKU item is really costing $9.49. And you can kind of look around, oh, it's the operating cost of $8.32. Why is that? Well, it could be that you have too many items. Okay. Or meaning, I'm sorry, you may have too many days of supply of that item. Or it could be in a rework area that the value add is cost prohibitive. Okay. Or it's just a big bulky item. Okay, so that's one summary screen I'll show. I'll break it down. Here's what it's costing you in each building in each zone. Like I said, in this example, we've got 4 cents at the main DC and 2 cents in rework, but we didn't put anything else. But you might have multiple zones. Then we got our top 25 items that you're losing money, and it goes all the way up, to the profit items. Now, these would be the 25 that you're losing money. Obviously, you want to focus your attention there. And then I could get you your top 25 that you're making money. And maybe you're not making as much as you thought on your top 25. Or we could go to 50 items, whatever we agree upon. And then the other one would be, what items are you carrying the most dollar amounts? Okay, so I mean, you look here, it looks like 10, 15 items. You're carrying a lot of money, and then it drops like an anchor down into the hundreds. Okay, so maybe that's something that the company wants to focus on. All right. So again, I can tailor that stuff how you see fit. I can't send you the Excel spreadsheet because I can't hide the formulas. And obviously, I worked hundreds and hundreds of hours on that. So I will give you a PDF format. We can talk about stuff. And if you need a top 100 items, if you're a building that has 4,000 SKUs, we can go from there. Okay. So again, I hope this helps. And, hit me up if you have any questions. Okay. Thanks.